So when I arrived here today, I mean, obviously you very kindly bought some plane swings from me. I really appreciate
No problem.
that.
Yeah.
And I absolutely understand the whole philosophy around it as far as you're concerned. I've seen the shy circle there, which is very similar. Sits a little bit further off. I think
Right. And we did that on
the
purpose
ground.
because Bryson wanted to hit balls out of it. And so he wanted to be able to hit balls, whether it was a driver or a wedge. And so, those were all some of the things that we did. We loved the plane swing. We used the plane swing a lot. And so it was literally he would move it into a stall where we had a face on and downline video, and whether it was with the rod and swinging the club on it or whatever it was, he was on it sometimes 5-6 hours a day. Wow. And so, you can't, it's going to make a difference when you're on it that much. And so that's some of the things that I believe, that just swinging on it once or for 5 minutes, and it certainly helps people when they do it. But if you really get on it, again, Bryson's the extreme, but if you get on it and do some of the things he does, it's going to make a difference in your golf game. There's just no doubt about it. Bryson had a certain view of how he wanted to swing the club, and he felt having plane swing and having the circle, whether it's a shy circle or the plane swing, he wanted to make sure he was on something that was enhancing what he was trying to do. And he would also use it to strength train as well. And so, when you're swinging the power rod, and you're doing that for 2 hours straight, you're going to be stronger. And I don't, regardless of what he's doing now, I've never considered Bryson short by any means. He used to have a crank ball. We used to call it a crank ball that he could beef up to 125 club head speed anytime he really wanted to, So to be able to maintain 125 or 130, you needed to be stronger and have some bulk.
And what is it, 6'2"? 6'1"?
6'1", yeah, 6'1".
Yeah. So it's plenty tall enough.
Yeah, so I think to me there's a number of different ways to utilize the plane swing. And so, again, try to get out of the box a little bit. That's my view. It's not, like a lot of people would say, oh, you only use that because of the way Bryson swings. No, I have people that are, well, I'm going to call them normal, who swing, with their hands lower. Again, there's a lot of ways you can utilize the plane swing to enhance what you're trying to do. Sometimes I'll set it up flat so I can actually shift up to where my normal position is on my backswing, and then feel how the club shallows a little bit. And I let it glide onto the circle. And so there's a lot of different ways to utilize the plane swing to enhance what we're trying to do. I'm always perplexed when, I hear people, oh, the circles are bad for you. I would say that, well, I don't think it was bad for Bryson. I don't think it's bad for anybody, to be honest with you.
No, and it's funny you say that, because I always say there are three types of. First of all, we sell 10 to 1 for the guy for the backyard.
Sure. Sure.
And when the pros buy them, you tend to find there are three types of pro. There's the pro who buys it, embraces it, absolutely loves it, understands it, can teach various ways, etc., etc. Then there's somebody who doesn't understand it, and for whatever reason they're not prepared to make the leap.
Right.
And sometimes they do think it's a one-dimensional thing.
Right.
So they don't get it in that way. But the one that frustrates me most is the pro that thinks it will replace them.
Right.
And they fear it, and they would never. A lot of them would never admit to that. Although,
right.
I've heard people say that, and it's a frustration, because it becomes the bridge between the student and
no doubt.
pro.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Again, it's an enhancer for me. I look at all training aids. I mean, obviously there's probably bad training aids out there, but in my view, that if there's something there to help you train, hence the word train, the problem with a lot of people is they utilize the plane swing or any training aid for such a short time, and so they don't see the improvement. Same thing with teachers. A lot of times, I might the whole lesson is on the plane swing, which is, again, it's not replacing me, because I'm guiding that student and telling them how to utilize it to help them fulfill their potential. Again, Bryson always gave me that view that, look, you've got to do it a little bit more than the 5 minutes sometimes to create a change, and certainly the plane swing, allows for that. And again, it's so versatile from whether, let's say, you're swinging, when Bryson was swinging hands and club on one plane, or conventional where the hands are underneath the plane, and work a little bit differently. It's very versatile for that. And I can't live, personally, I have to have it. It has to be a part of our school.
Well, one of the things I encourage everyone who buys, I say, for goodness, just send me some pictures of you down the line, face on, and a little bit of video. And I'm always encouraged what I see, because most of them watch the instructional video,
right?
But some of them don't, and that you've got to help them and
Sure.
got to make sure that they're actually using it correctly.
You bet. I've used it badly at times, I'm sure, and because I've tried to do some things that maybe shouldn't. But again, it's a great tool, and I'm very I feel very fortunate to have it.
And if I sort of close on a couple of questions, really, what do you think has been the biggest influence that Bryson's had on you?
I think it's to get out of any box that I think we as teachers put ourselves into, because it's easy to come up with a little set system that we think works for everybody. And so Bryson always has challenged me to look way beyond that, and to go beyond myself and understanding what the golf swing's about, or how a movement pattern happens with any individual. And so I think that's the biggest thing that he's done for me is to get me out of, again, as a golf pro, it's so easy to get into a little box and say that's one way and this is the only way. And I can't tell how many times I've been with Bryson where we're like, hey, have you figured it out? And oh no, man, I got to go that didn't work. We got to do something else. And so, and again, he still does that to today. And again, that is how, that is Bryson. But you got to appreciate that because of how good he actually is, to be able to do some experiments or go down what we call rabbit holes that you would go, man, don't go down there. But he's like, no, I got to go down there. I got to go see what it's all about. And I really admire that. And I try to be that a little bit myself. It's obvious when you come into this place because it's pretty much unlike anything you're going to see, especially in a tent.
Well, I certainly, when I walked in, I was just amazed at all of the equipment that you had, but also quite clearly you're prepared, because there were so many other training aids there as well. A lot of them I've got myself.
Right. Well, that's me. I mean, I'm addicted to that. So, I've found that though, if you want to sell training aids, you probably shouldn't have any, because basically they all come here to test them, and or use them. So I think that's, again, that's the environment. It's like I said, this is a science project that's gone terribly wrong. Again, I've been very fortunate. I have a robot. I have the golf robot, RoboGolf Pro here, and believe it or not, he put it inside a tent. And so this was mainly a tent as of, a year and a half ago. And so, trust me, that robot was not meant to be in 120 degree weather. And so, but again, Scott and I kind of saw what we were about and felt like, hey man, you need to have a robot. And we became just great friends. And I love having the robot here. The robot's been such a vital part of what we do. But again, we're sitting inside a sim right here, inside a tent. And so, it just, again, get out of the box. What can we do? Let's try to figure it out and let's get it done.
And what do you think has been the biggest influence that you've had on Bryson?
That's a hard one. I think there's a number. I stutter because sometimes I'm trying to, there's so many different things. I think as somebody who's known him as long as I have and have spent up to 30 hours a week with him. I traveled full time with him, and so I've always felt like the most important thing is to try to be a good human being first and have good character, and so on. But I think the biggest thing that I've instilled in him is to try to make sure he owns what he does. And so when we went down the road of the golfing machine and saying, is there something different that you want to do? He kind of looked at it and go, well, I want to do this. Again, Bryson, you got to own it. And so one of the things that I think we've gone through in our journey is the fact that I might have the answer, but I need him to discover what the answer is. And I push that harder than anything. And he would look at me, he'll still tell you today, he'll blame me. He said, it's your fault the way I turned out in that area. Obviously, other parts, his parents, it's their fault. But again, there's so many times where he'll look at me and go, hey man, what do you think? And what do you want me to do? And I'll literally shake my head and say, nope, you got to figure it out. You got to dig it out of the dirt. And that's what he does. And so, and that's hard as a teacher, because as a teacher coach, sometimes, you want to give them the answer. And for some reason with us, it was never, probably from the time he was 18 on, it was much more about pushing him to discover what he wanted, discovering it, and then, okay, I own it. And I think that's what I instilled in him the most.
Great. Well, I mean, every time I see him talk, I think he comes across extremely well. And I believe he's good for the game. I think, more people are talking about the game than before. They're talking about him.
Yeah, no doubt.
And they love what he's doing. He's exciting. And at the end of the day, if you're a top sportsman, you are an entertainer.
Oh, no doubt.
As well.
No doubt.
So I think
he's entertaining.
He's entertaining.
Always has been, And again, there is an element of him like he's a clown. And so, and a lot of people would look at that as a derogatory term. But again, when he's cut loose here, and I always love when he comes back here. He loves being with the kids that are here. He's always entertaining and he's always open, to talking to the kids and letting the kids talk to him. He almost becomes one of them. And so I think that's why a lot of kids love, or support him out there. And I think that's a good quality to have, and I certainly enjoy that aspect of him when he wants to cut loose. And we've done a lot of crazy things, obviously, together on camera, and that are weird when he's done his weird finish and looks like he's going to hit me and doesn't, and all that kind of stuff. So again, I think he understands that value and of entertaining, but again, he's always trying to figure it out, and that's I think that's what makes the golf fan go, what has he figured out this week? And what has he figured out? Is there something maybe I can take from what he's doing? That kind of stuff. So I think that's kind of cool. He kind of shares it sometime in a weird way, a scientific quote way that kind of just flies over my head. He used to quote physics equations to me, and I don't know why he ever did that to me, because I couldn't understand one sentence of it. But
that's why.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Yeah, anything to bring me down, that was it. So, but that's what's him, and I think that's why the game, loves that aspect of it. He has his haters, of course, but I think that's just part of the game today.
Well, it is unfortunately, and I get sometimes into some conversations with people on Twitter about it and Facebook and various things, because I can't understand why that would be the case, especially if you don't actually know somebody, you've never actually met somebody. Sure. Anyway. So, no, I think he's great for the game. I think what you've, mentored and developed is absolutely fantastic, and quite clearly it's come about as a consequence of your relationship with the parents and
Sure.
really understanding the kids. And have you got a couple of other Brysons in the pipeline?
I hope not. I think I have a bunch of girls right now, young girls that I'm working with that are amazing, amazingly talented, and so that's been really fun because it's different. I have a couple of kids that are developing quite nicely. One just qualified for the U.S. Junior, shot 66. Wow. So yeah, do they swing like Bryson? No. Do they act like Bryson? Everybody's an individual and different. And so, but it would be fun to have, one more. Again, it's such an anomaly. I don't think people understand what Bryson did. Just doesn't happen in golf. To win the NCAA, to win the USAM, to do what he did, low amateur as well at Augusta. He could have won Augusta. He just wasn't ready yet, for that environment. And so, but we prepared like no other, for that event. And so, I have a number of kids, young, 10, 11, 12 that are coming up, and it could be fun. I'm getting old though, so, I'm not sure how long I'm going to last in this whole thing, but I'm sure excited about working with them, that's for sure.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. really has. I've enjoyed
Appreciate
the time here, and all of your team here are just so welcoming, and you know, you can just tell the environment that you create here. You know, as you talked earlier, it's a very relaxed environment.
You bet.
And I've seen lots of people come and go, and I think you were saying it's just monthly programs here for them. And
Yeah, I've always believed that coaching was probably the best way of learning. And as far as for me, instead of the half hour or 45-minute lesson or an hour lesson, in and out, you know, again, very fortunate. My wife supported what I was trying to do with a coaching philosophy. And so it was much different. I knew it wasn't going to be something we were going to get rich on, that's for sure. In fact, in the day, I think I was $99 and you could be here for a month, and you could hit all the balls you wanted, and you could be here. You know, I was here 5 days a week, 6 days a week sometimes. And I traveled to a lot of the junior tournaments as well. So pretty good deal at $99. And again, I didn't have all that I have now, but I certainly had video and some of the things that were, you know, in my mind that you had to have as a coach and as a teacher to help understand the golf swing. But I just believed in that coaching environment, and to try to understand the, you know, because most of them were kids, you know, the way the kids are. I knew who they were dating. I knew sometimes their home life. I knew, you know, all the, you know, what they were doing at school and so on. And I thought that was important for me to help develop their potential, because if I didn't know a lot of that information, I wouldn't know what was inhibiting them, or you know, what their personalities were like. And so all that helped me understand how they play. So again, it's not just about the golf swing, it's about how you play the game as well, and how you prepare for the game. And so all that is intertwined in who they are as individuals. And so that's what I've tried to create here, and you know, very fortunate, great facility to be able to do that. And it's been a blast, you know, doing it over the last 20 years.
well, I wish you continued success.
You bet.
And obviously all your students
You
as
bet.
well. And
Thanks.
look forward to getting back here and
Anytime.
welcoming you to Orlando.
Anytime. You're always welcome.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.